There are so many wonderful ways of getting children interested in gardening. Today, I'm going to show you some of my favourite projects which will hopefully fire their imagination. Not all gardening activities need to be done outdoors with children, especially if the weather's like this. There's plenty you can do indoors to inspire them. One thing you will be growing with your children and grandchildren, whatever you plant, you'll be growing memories, things they will never forget, like this little lad here who will never forget being on an allotment in Ilkley underneath the sweet peas grown by my grandfather. This is George Herbert Hardesty, my mum's dad, and I'm told I was about 5 or 6 months there as he's leading me by the hand through his rows of sweet peas. I can still see him in my mind's eye, even without looking at the photograph. I can feel his hand, you know, when he used to hold my hand to take me through his allotment. And that love of gardening and being out there stuck with me, so still a treasure possession, that little photograph. But you'll be building a few of those if you get your children to understand the magic of gardening, which connects them to the earth, stops them being quite so frightened, show them what a practical difference they can make, and they won't feel nearly so daunted. And it starts very simply. The answer is an egg. Now, this is a great little project because it's quick. And patience is the thing that small children often lack in quantity. So, give them a boiled egg for breakfast, tell them not to take too much off the top, and when they've eaten it all, get a cotton wool ball. Pop the cotton wool ball very carefully inside the egg. Then pop it back in the egg box. A good idea at this stage, just to give the cotton wool ball a good soak. Pour the water in like that. You can see how much you need, about that, so it's just nicely soggy. And then a really generous pinch of cress seeds on the top. And that can then stand on a windowsill. Keep an eye on that cotton wool, though it's unlikely before the cress germinates that it will dry out. But if your kitchen's very hot, just make sure it stays damp. And then, within a few days, you will have a lovely little cress garden. You can then, if you're very artistic, you can of course just turn it into a little person. Don't think there's any point really in giving him a mouth because you won't see it. There he is. And the great joy is you can cut the cress and eat it with an egg and cress sandwich, almost all in one, isn't it really? I love that idea. Still gives me pleasure doing that, even at my ripe old age. But you can also look at plants that are easy for children to grow. The very, very first things I grew were succulents and cacti because they thrive on neglect. Ours grew, we had a first floor loo at the end of the landing and they were all on the windowsill in there. Bright light is what cacti and succulents need. I'd really go for a few succulents and cacti. They're inexpensive, so if they're getting the collecting bug and you've got a bit of windowsill, they can keep collecting different ones and learn to look after things that grow. When you look at things like this Echeveria, the geometric perfection of this plant, all in nature, it's almost as if it was drawn by spirograph, if you remember spirograph from your own childhood. Absolutely glorious, and there's a flower beginning to come out here. You can get even tinier ones, like this little thing that they call the pickle plant. Of course, you don't have to grow them individually in little pots. You can make yourself a garden of cacti and succulents. Remember, all cacti are succulents, but not all succulents are cacti. Cactus is the name we give to spiky succulents. Here we have cacti. What a variation. Amazing things like this little mammillaria. Small spines, large spines, feathery spines, spines that don't look like spines on this little opuntia, which is always thought of as the rabbit's ears. All these spines are uncomfortable, so especially when you're working with young children, make sure you've both got gloves on. You're still handling them quite delicately. If you pinch them too hard, they'll come through, but just handle them firmly but carefully with a pair of gloves on, and then you're safe. There's one hole in the bottom of this which I don't want to get bunged up, so I'm just going to put a couple of bits of crock over it. And because drainage is so important, some grit in the bottom, horticultural coarse grit, here as a kind of drainage layer, just to make sure those cacti do feel more at home. I'm just going to spread it around the base like that. And then, again, compost that they will like. Compost which are too organic, normal multi-purpose compost is too spongy for them. They want something which drains faster, which has got quite a bit of sand in it. And this desert plant compost will do. Now, I'm not going to fill it up. I'm just going to put a fair bit in so that I can then bed them in and rearrange more around it. Then it's time to be creative. This is where you know you need your gloves. This one at the back. You may have to take some of that compost off. It doesn't matter that it's too dry at the moment. Easing that off, making the hole, it'll sit down there a bit better then. Oh, Alan, that was a bit clumsy. There we are. Sit it in. Gently fill around it with the compost. And then you can start getting one or two more in. Their own ideas as to what should go where, and the best thing to do is to listen to their ideas and let them have what they want where. Just make sure there's a little bit of room in between each of them so they can, as they will in time, grow. And when it comes to this handling bit, you might want to do the majority of it rather than them, just to be on the safe side. A little bit more compost tucked around that one. But they're so going to enjoy feeling they've got a garden of their own and that they had a hand in the making. So then, more grit. Because what they hate is sogginess around their collars, which is where the top growth meets the roots. So going over with this to make sure it stays well drained right up there as well. And also it shows them off beautifully. What this is also doing, of course, is mirroring the kind of conditions they're used to in the desert. There'd also be bigger rocks there, so see what you can find. I'll just put one or two. I picked these up when I've been digging in the garden. And there you are, a miniature desert garden. People just buy 4 cacti, 3 bits of rock. You could add a bit more to that if you wanted, but I think that's rather fun. If they want a bit of garden, give them the best bit of garden you possibly can, because then they're likely to succeed and carry on. The thing to do is to give them a container of their own. They can then get very proprietorial about it. This is a good, sturdy wooden one. You can use a large pot if you want. If you choose a compost which is specially formulated for containers, it has all the nutrition in it that the plants will need in this restricted area. A container like this is nearer to their height, so they can potter about. The compost is easy to handle too. They won't feel, ooh, don't want to put my hands in that. And if you get them some little tools, get good ones. These are sturdy. They'll see them through to adulthood. I could use these too. And that way they can either plant things in there that they see at the garden centre that they love, or sow seeds in there come April direct outside, or you can get going a bit earlier with seeds in pots. The thing about sowing seeds in pots is that they can be done on a windowsill, indoors to start them off, and the children can watch them every morning at breakfast and see how they're doing. All kinds of plants can be sown in pots, sweet peas, cosmos, but the one which really fires their enthusiasm is sunflower seeds. a bit of competition. So the thing to do is to get some seed compost, little tiny pots like this, filled with seed compost, tapped to firm it. That's all you need to do. Now, if your children and grandchildren are as keen as mine to get the tallest sunflower, give them a head start. In about March, put the seeds into your hand like this. The great thing is they are all equipped with a dibber, a finger, and those tiny fingers are perfect for sunflower seeds. Get them to pop one in the middle of the pot like that, and then just push it, only about a centimetre, so it disappears. So if you do that in March, late March probably, and then put them on a sunny windowsill indoors, making sure they don't dry out, not soggy, just damp, up they will come. The children's eyes will light up, and they'll then be seeing whose is the tallest and who's going to overtake who. It's great fun. And then come May, they can be planted out in the garden. You'll need to stake them because they will go up and up and up and up. Good soil, sunny position, that's why they're called sunflowers. It's a great thing to get kids started with. My grandchildren loved it. So those are my suggestions for how to get children interested in gardening. What are yours? Comment below. If you're looking for gardening tips like this, why not subscribe to my channel? You'll find ways of improving your garden, whatever its size, every week.